Welcome to the Chasing Mountains podcast. Today we are talking about prime hydration.
We're going to do something a little different today. I know this is probably going to be a weird podcast, but I promise you we're going to be hydrated when we're done.
Yeah, we'll probably take a potty break.
2 or 3 of them. Look, okay, so I wanted to actually do the podcast on Prime today because there's a guy named Logan Paul and a guy named KSI. They're really popular YouTubers. KSI is from London. Logan Paul from America, very popular YouTuber. I think between both of them, they've got like 50 million subscribers. Very, very popular. And when we were talking about our last podcast or one of the previous podcasts about Rihanna and how she capitalizes on her fame.
To sell products.
Yeah. Like they're not just sitting back and saying, hey, I'm famous, give me money. They're actually going out and creating their own products. And Prime is actually one of them that they got together. And I guess originally they hated each other. KSI and Logan Paul hated each other and they ended up boxing each other. I don't know necessarily if it was just hype for the internet to create a rivalry. But they say they hated each other. And then they ended up at some charity event becoming kind of friends, just like, okay, we're actually the same people just on the other side of the pond. And, you know, we should come together. We have like 50 million subscribers between us. Let's do something. So they came up with Prime because both of them actually, you know, they're athletes, they're boxers. And they said how much they hated the other sports drinks and how much sugar was in them, how many calories. And so they decided to come together and make this drink. So I think what we're going to do today, we'll actually just do it throughout the podcast, is just do some blind comparisons. I've never had Prime. Have you?
No.
I'm also not excited. A Gatorade drinker. So I'm curious which one's going to taste better. So I'll tell you what, give me the Gatorade real quick.
And for those listening on the podcast, This would probably be a good...
start off with the blue.
A good YouTube consumption for you rather than just audio, because you can see what we're doing here, but we'll try to talk you through it.
Okay, so don't look at the numbers.
So these are...
Yes.
Well, I already looked.
Well, okay, so let me actually just pour them out, and then I'll mix yours up, and then you mix mine up. Okay, so one of the things we mentioned before the podcast, this is called Prime Hydration. And of course, out there's a very popular brand called Amazon Prime. And we talked about trademarks on a previous podcast. You know, how does one have Prime Hydration go up against Amazon Prime? Well, it's different sectors of the trademark. So if you were selling soap, you can be Dove. If I'm selling chocolate, I could be Dove Chocolate. It's not the same. So what's the title of the Prime Hydration one you're going for?
So it's called Blue Raspberry.
Blue Raspberry, and this one's called Glacier Freeze.
Yeah, so again, if you can't see it, we're at this point blind taste testing blue Prime versus blue Gatorade, basically.
Correct,
so
correct. Close your eyes real quick.
You mix them up.
I want to mix them up. I promise you, I am not spitting in this, which I might be. Go right ahead. I want you to test yours first.
All right. I think that's Gatorade.
Oh, okay. Go to the next one.
I think that's Gatorade. Ooh, that's interesting.
What's your thoughts?
This is definitely Prime.
Really?
Yeah.
It 100% is Prime.
Yeah.
How'd you know? What's it taste like?
I've had a lot of Gatorade.
What's your thoughts of it? I'm curious.
It's really good.
It's only 25 calories for the whole thing and only 2 grams of sugar. And I don't know if you know that for this bottle, it's 140 calories for Gatorade, 34 grams of added sugar. That's a lot of difference. I'm going to close my eyes and you can mix it up.
Okay.
I feel like I want to use the song from Jeopardy, but I know we'll get copyright stricken.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, because they're actually very different colors. Prime is clear. You were right about that, Bobby.
That one tasted terrible. That's different. This does not taste like Gatorade at all, so I'm assuming this is Prime. It's much better. It's got a coconut flavor.
10% coconut.
I would definitely say Prime tastes better than Gatorade to me.
Gatorade's got like this kind of aftertaste, this after phlegm thing going on. That's kind of...
It does, yeah.
I always remember with Gatorade, high school wrestling, I'd finished like one of the toughest matches of my life, and I desperately needed some water. And I yelled over to my coach, and I'm like, I can't breathe. I'm just did finish this match. He tossed me a Gatorade, and I took a big swig of it and just threw up because it was too much. It was like too much
sugar,
sticky, phlegmy.
I would say in general, I mean, this is definitely different tasting. I actually want to try some of these other ones, and we'll do it throughout the podcast. But
so it's 10% coconut water, 250 milligrams branched chain amino acids, B vitamins, antioxidants, 835 milligrams of electrolytes. I don't know if that's a lot or not.
I don't either. Well, we did a Yucca test earlier. For those who don't know, it's an app that tells you whether it's healthy or not. And from 0 to 100, 0 being bad, 100 being wonderful and healthy and basically dirt. I'm joking, of course. But basically, Gatorade scored a 4 on the Yucca test, and the Prime scored a 49. So it's not perfect, but it's much better.
It's halfway to dirt.
It's halfway to dirt. Why would they go up against a Gatorade? What, you got to think about.
That's why we're making the comparison too, because I think they are.
Right.
Basically trying to push Gatorade out in this market, right?
Right. I don't even know if it's. I think the play is make enough cells so that you can sell it to Gatorade.
Sell it to Gatorade. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. One of the things why we talked about this is, you remember vitamin water back in the day, and how 50 Cent. He teamed up with Vitamin Water back in 2007, and they ended up selling. Let me see what they sell for. In 2007, Vitamin Water sold to Coca-Cola for over $4 billion.
Whoa.
Yes.
Really?
And it's estimated 50 Cent walked away with over $100 million. Just for teaming up with somebody, he made more money from that one transaction than he did for, most of his career. $100 million. That's a lot of freaking money.
It's a big deal.
That's what they're doing here. I think they're making a play to where, a lot of people are conscious of, health. Not that this is the most healthy thing in the world, but if you're comparing it to Powerade, Gatorade, and stuff like that, why not go for something a little healthier? And I think that's what they're going to do. Kevin O'Leary, do you want to do a blind test?
Yeah. I'm just going to mix mine up.
Oh, that's definitely not Gatorade. The Prime actually tastes a little sweeter.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on this one.
I was just going to say that we're comparing orange to orange. I would say the Gatorade tastes more orange, but the Prime is like a popsicle.
Oh my God, that's what it is. It does taste like popsicles, melted popsicles.
Yeah.
So it's the coconut water that I'm tasting. It has that kind of smooth, creamy feel.
The Prime has 2 grams of sugars, whereas Gatorade has 21 grams. A lot less sugar, but it tastes sweeter, which is interesting.
Do you think it's the coconut water?
I don't know.
I'm actually impressed with the taste of it.
Kevin O'Leary, sorry. You were going to say something about him.
Kevin O'Leary went on Logan Paul's podcast, and his podcast is called Impulsive. He went on there and he was talking about Prime and trying to get his opinion on what he thought. And Kevin O'Leary told him, look, they could squash you like a bug. A Gatorade is powerful. He said at a certain point in time, they'll ignore you. But once you start getting up to like $50 million a year, then they're going to notice. They're either going to buy you or put you out of the business. And the way they put you out of business is they'll buy up all the space on the shelf and leave you no room. And it'll cost you too much to get on the shelf. That'll basically put you out of business.
And it's a really competitive market anyway, right? This
Very
kind of
competitive.
Stuff.
Well, you're going up against Coca-Cola, Gatorade, and a bunch of other people. Prime Hydration launched in January of 2022. By the end of March 2022, they've already made $10 million.
Wow.
So they're on track to make that $50 million probably sooner than we think. And the reason they're blowing up kind of the way they are, they've taken their social media skills and they are putting everything they got. So they got KSI over in the United Kingdom and Logan Paul pushing it. When they launched, man, they went straight into Walmart. They went into Target, Kroger. Their fame allowed them to get into these stores that most people wouldn't have. And now, obviously, they've teamed up with a distributor, a person who actually manufactures this.
It's interesting though because it's not called like the Logan Paul drink or the KSI drink. So they have been a little bit more subtle and strategic with their marketing.
It's not in here.
Like they don't say anything about that on here. They're creating it to stand on its own, which is cool. And I think that, they're both pretty high profile athletes that have sort of willed their way into, competition and they're pretty good boxers.
People want to hate on them, but I mean, they could kick my ass. I honestly don't know that much about Logan Paul, but the brand is interesting to me because like Kevin O'Leary said, they could squash you like a bug or buy you out. But once you get to that $50 million mark, they may come in and just buy you out for $200 million. Do you want to try lemon lime and lemon lime?
Yes, I do. This has always been my favorite.
Oh, so you might
Gatorade. So I'm going to know it.
Okay.
But I'm curious how.
Then you don't need to blind test it. Here, I'm going to.
Yeah, but I want to.
Okay.
I'm going to compare them.
Yeah, you're smart for not putting a lot in it because I already have to pee.
I do. Me too.
I've got the bladder of a baby. I can't.
Here, just shuffle. Just
okay. I
didn't even pay attention anyway. Go ahead. Shuffle mine up.
Okay.
The trick will be if we can get this done without spilling it on our expensive gear. Okay, am I good?
You're good.
All right, let me shuffle yours.
Okay. This is the weirdest podcast we've done, but I'm having fun. Oh, I might have just looked. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, but
Cheating already.
all right.
Okay.
You go first.
Me go first?
Yeah. Good.
Oh, I don't know. I like this one. This one I like better.
I feel like I can't look at it because they do look different. So I want to make sure that
This one tastes like nothing. That was number 2. And this one is a little sweet for me.
So which one's yellower? Because that's the Gatorade.
This was Gatorade's yellower.
Yeah.
So this to me tastes terrible. And you like this one? Weirdo. We can't be friends no more.
It's the one that leaves the least aftertaste, the least amount of just like crap in there.
I couldn't taste anything. Yeah, it tastes gross. There is something. It's like a weird aftertaste. The Prime one just tastes too sweet to me. But I prefer the Prime one over.
It's sort of popsicle-y. I think I got to give it to Gatorade on this one. For when we're dealing with lemon lime. So they're both called lime. The same. They're both lemon lime. That's the closest one in terms of flavor. They actually taste a lot alike.
Really? I would say that the Prime tasted sweeter.
Bobby, we should be including you in on this taste test. Sorry. Do you want some of these?
I'm good.
You know what? Do you want me to give you a drink right now?
Here, grab her a cup.
I'll grab you a cup. Which one do you want?
Here, we'll just send all these your way. Just don't spill them. Bobby's like producing and has all the expensive stuff over there. So here, I'm coming to you.
So while Dave is actually passing out some drinks, I'll talk a little bit about why I think that this will be possibly $1 billion company. I could be wrong, but at least worth hundreds of millions of dollars. At that point where you break that $50 million sales per year and the Gatorades and the Coca-Cola start to really notice you, it's easier just to buy them out than to compete with them a lot of the times. They may spend more money trying to squash them than just giving them a couple $100 million and starting all over. And that's why some of these YouTubers like Mr. Beast and a few others could actually, become some of the first YouTube billionaires because of the success of their followers. It's kind of amazing. When you have almost 100 million followers between you and KSI, Logan Paul and KSI, I mean, that's a powerful thing. It's gluten-free and caffeine-free. There's definitely more food coloring in one, the Gatorade.
Yes. Yeah. So they kind of use, one of you guys pointed this out at the beginning, but they kind of use with Prime, the packaging itself to sort of make the liquid look more colored than it is, which...
That's interesting.
Which I know my wife would appreciate. She doesn't like any kind of food coloring in anything.
All right.
It's usually not good for you. So yeah, Tropical Punch for both Gatorade and Prime.
All right, give this one a test.
Okay. I'm not going to look at it. Yeah, that's Gatorade.
You knew it right off the bat?
Yeah, I knew that one.
What'd you think?
The Prime tastes like a pre-workout that I've had before.
All right, mix me up. Okay. Which one do you like the most? Do you like Gatorade on that one?
I'm not going to tell you.
Oh. He's drinking more Gatorade. Oh, which one do you like?
I'm just finishing them. I like Prime better.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just sweeter. Every one of these has been sweeter. Now, sitting here again, like we talked about, that's different than like if they're selling this as a hydration workout athlete drink, the real test would be when you can't hardly breathe and you're heaving and you're, because that's when Gatorade to me becomes pretty intolerable.
Yeah.
The test
for me, man, though, when I'm dying, I want water. And nothing else. All right, here we go. Okay. I can't really tell with that one. I'm assuming this is Prime.
Yeah.
Because it tastes better. I'm surprised how bland it is, how bland Gatorade is. So kudos to Prime so far. It tastes pretty good. Bobby, have you tried any?
I had a whole grape one earlier this week, and I really liked the grape.
Let's try the grape.
Yeah, I definitely just tried these two. Out of the two, blue raspberry is really good.
I will say this. We're not sponsored by Prime today. This is just purely for fun. Though it looks like...
Or clearly not Gatorade.
Or clearly not Gatorade. In fact, we're probably going to get sued from Gatorade.
Neither one will sponsor us because we're also clearly not athletes.
Oh, God.
Dead bots.
I want to say how hard it was to find Prime.
Yeah, you had to go several places, right?
Yeah, they were sold out at like 4 different stores. So I had to go to Kroger's for one, And I had to run to, I think it was Target for 2 of them. Had to go to GNC for the lime and I think red one. So they pretty much sold out everywhere. I don't know if that's a shipment issue or if it's just that popular.
Did you say shipment?
I mean, though it's a shit show lately, so it is a shipment. I'm making fun of just the supply chain. It's not.
Do you think some of
right
that
now.
is just because they are still a new product and they are gaining a foothold in the marketplace, and maybe they just don't? I mean,
that it could be, but it goes to show that, I mean, some of them are selling. I mean, at the moment, dude, they're not going to be compared to. You okay over there, Bobby? You drinking a little too much?
She did just what we told her not to. She just spilled it all over the soundboard.
It was empty.
Sure. Now it's empty.
It makes you up.
Yeah, go for it. But this really goes to show the power of your brand and just selling the crap out of stuff. Every video, he's pushing Prime. All right. Whoa, that is sweet. That is
So we're comparing the purple ones. This is
purple,
grape
yes.
versus grape.
that tastes like a lollipop. Straightforward. Let me see. I think this is Gatorade, and I think I prefer this version. Is this Gatorade?
Is it number 2? 2 is Gatorade. Yeah.
2. Okay, so it's 2. I think I prefer the grape of
All
Gatorade
right.
because it's simple. This is sweeter.
So is that your first Gatorade choice?
That's my first Gatorade
All
choice.
right.
This reminds me of communion at church when they had passed around the grape.
Stir me up.
All right.
Let me get in on this.
And we grew
I'm
up
not
where
looking.
the church, we did not, when we did communion, there was no wine. It was just grape juice. So I go for it.
Were they giving out Prime at church
That's probably what it's doing.
years ago?
Prime.
That's Gatorade.
You can tell right off the bat.
Yeah.
See what I mean? It's like a popsicle.
Man, that's actually close. I think I give that to Prime too.
2 grams of sugar. It tastes really good. And there's no artificial
very
sweetener.
Yeah. And somehow it's still very sweet.
Yeah.
So we had 6 Gatorades, 6 Primes. We still got to try this
Yes,
last Prime
this
one.
is
But for both of us, then it was 5 out of 6. Prime wins it, right? That we ended up with?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do they compete? I don't know. You know, Gatorade is such a huge brand. There's so much like ingrained branding in professional sports with Gatorade and other places. But
Dude, I don't think they can compete with them. I think the play is to be purchased by them, by a Coca-Cola or something who just has that shelf space.
yeah, because
And-
those guys probably don't forever want to run a drink
Right.
company, right?
Right. And like I was saying, when Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, was on Impulsive, the reason why his opinion has like value is
up a
because Mr. Wonderful actually deals with Costco and making sure his wine gets in there. He deals with Kroger's and a bunch of other brands. I mean, excuse me, I'm eating or drinking. For those who are on the podcast and I keep stopping, it's because I'm drinking. But he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about, how hard it is to get it on the shelf. So when he says just get to 50 million and then you'll basically be worth being acquired. And I for one, look, a lot of people hate Logan Paul and KSI. Number one, they grew up on the internet posting videos from back when Vine. Do you remember Vine?
Mm-hmm.
It was a really popular app for all you kids who've only grown up with TikTok.
It's
I
like
mean,
the original TikTok, really.
It really is TikTok. It's
I saw
kind of-
some old Vines the other day and I was like, this was the
TikTok.
precursor to TikTok.
Exactly. And cheers.
This is the ice pop flavor from Prime. There's nothing to compare it to, I don't think, with Gatorade. So
That's a popsicle.
that's kind of intense.
It's really intense.
So I watched that clip with
Red, white, and blue.
with Kevin O'Leary that you're talking about. And I think somebody had commented on that. I saw that this flavor was the one that they should have had him try. But I don't know if I agree with that. This is a little bit medicine-y to me.
Yeah. I think this one, Ice Pop, is a no-go.
This reminds me though of like the pool. Like the public pool.
It does.
Not of like the water.
No, but
Not
like the popsicles. And,
yeah, like being at the public pool. It's kind of got like it was like a cotton candy popsicle.
I thought you were talking about chlorine water.
A little bit of hot dog and nacho.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Like I said, people have a tendency to really hate these guys because they grew up on the internet. They were posting videos as they were basically a teenager. I don't know about you, But my God, if I could have had access to the internet at the age of 15, 16, the stupid videos I would have posted that could have been offensive, could have been inappropriate, and I had no idea. And so a lot of people hated on Logan Paul and KSI because they were just out there. They're popular, number one, but they were kind of douchebags in the beginning. But I think what's interesting right now is they're trying to grow up. They're trying to get past that stupid, prankster era or just being douchebags on the internet. The interesting thing about their podcast is it made them kind of mature. And he started surrounding himself around business people doing amazing business moves. And basically, I think it opened his eyes to the idea of like, what can I do with this audience? Yes, I was immature before. I'm becoming more mature. He's no longer posting on his vlog channel. What's funny about his podcast, I don't know if you knew this, but they always start the podcast and end the podcast as the number one most popular podcast in the world. I was so confused the first time I heard that. I was like, wait, hold on a second. There's plenty of other podcasts I thought were way more popular than this. So I'm Googling and I'm searching. I'm like, no, they're not even anywhere close to like the most popular.
They just say it.
It's just a joke. So my dumb ass fell for it. I'm like Googling stuff. But
why don't we do that?
I mean, because it's pretty clear.
That's all right. That's right.
We could be the number one worst podcast in the world.
I don't think that'll help us any to brand that.
No.
I have a lot of respect for these guys for doing this. Is they are building a brand, not lending their brand to another thing. Mm-hmm. Instead, they decided to create this product and bring it to market. And that's going to build more wealth. And it also, I give them more props for that because it takes more. And they could have definitely gone the other way. It could have been called the Logan Paul KSI drink.
Yes.
And they didn't do that. So
they are friends with Gary Vee. And so a lot of times they'll bounce stuff off of Gary Vee. And I think everybody knows who Gary Vee is on the internet. Anybody who's kind of an entrepreneur has heard it or seen his videos out there. But I think he's also been a mentor to them, saying, guys, okay, cool. That was you back then. And you're going to be something amazing. What he told them, which was interesting, he told Logan Paul that he is Marky Mark in the Funky Bunch. He's not Mark Wahlberg yet.
Who? That Logan Paul?
That Logan Paul is. He said Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch was a hip hop group and he was wild and crazy. He said, by saying that, what he was saying was like, look, that's you now, but one day you're going to be Mark Wahlberg, this cool, renowned actor with all this amazing power in Hollywood. And what he told him, and he gave Logan Paul kind of some inspiration that, that was you. You messed up a few times online doing stuff inappropriate, people tried to cancel him. But I think by him being honest and kind of being public about his endeavors and trying to grow as a human, I think people sympathize and really just, Logan Paul is signed right now with the WWE. And
is he really?
Yeah. He realized he was.
What?
Okay. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He signed, I think, this last few months or so. Basically, he did one event with them and made so much money. And he realized, number one, I'm not hurt near as bad because it's not real fighting. And
how dare you?
How dare you? I know. He's not as hurt. He might have a couple sore shoulders or knees or whatever it is, but he's not going all these rounds. Go for it.
More prime?
More prime. Just in general, he said, I'm going to sign a deal with them and do a couple things. And he's going to go the Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson way. And what's
you think
funny,
he'll get into like big time acting?
I think he's going to try to. I know he's been doing some schooling on it. And he's been in a couple movies and a couple shows. But Dwayne The Rock Johnson is one of his heroes. So I think he's kind of following in that footsteps of...
You could probably just say The Rock.
I could. Dwayne The Rock Johnson sounds cool. Look, odd podcast. We're just having fun here, but I think that this company will sell for almost $1 billion one day if they can stick with it.
I mean, we gave it both, 5 out of 6 we give to Prime over Gatorade. Mm-hmm. It's good, which you can brand it all you want. If it's not a good product, it's not going to succeed.
Yeah.
And this to me tastes good. Yeah. Would you agree?
I agree. I think it's pretty good. Best of luck to you guys. I think it's cool going up against Goliath, man. And but a David versus Goliath, I think in this one they might turn out pretty good.
Yeah, it'll be good. Watch out, Gatorade.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they're going to take down Gatorade, but I think they're going to be acquired. Honestly, I wish I could invest a little bit of money. Logan Paul, let me invest my measly amount of money. You want to wrap this up?
Maybe we could be brand ambassadors for Logan Paul. We're going to need a few more views.
Yeah. Subscribe. We need viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, segue. Please like and subscribe and comment. Tell us if you've tried this. Let us know.
Yeah.
We've told you, I would say my favorite is probably the tropical punch, I think is my favorite.
I think I like the blue one.
The blue one? Bobby, you have that over there. What is that one?
Blue raspberry.
Blue raspberry. That was good too.
Here, toss that. See how good of a throw you are.
Oh.
This could be bad. Whoa.
Good catch.
I was terrified.
Good throw.
That had like a curveball effect to it.
That was with their busted hand too.
Yeah. Let's wrap this up. Not sponsored by Prime or Gatorade, but 5 out of 6 to Prime on both of us. I think they're going to do well.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for the next podcast. Please subscribe. We're Chasing Mountains Podcast. We're out.
See ya.
The thoughts and opinions on this show do not reflect those of our advertisers, employers, or other affiliates. The content should not be considered legal or financial advice. The Chasing Mountains podcast is a production of Chasing Mountains Media. Copyright 2022.